and I'm actually making a transition into becoming a writer-director. So I have a couple of different projects that I'm juggling, so I try and put some of my day towards working on those.
Do you enjoy the writing, Michelle?
I can't say I'm a natural writer, no. I think I have quite a strong visual sense, but it's really hard to sort of break into just being a director. And I think if you're able to put your ideas down on paper in a writing form and then have a chance to sort of get that up on its feet and direct it, then that's a great way to sort of say to the world, this is what I'm interested in, and this is how I see, how my creativity works. So I'm trying to push myself past that writing block and become a writer as well.
No, good for you. I mean, I think that's, we were speaking before we started recording, just before the interview started, and I was mentioning to Michelle, my grandson is, I tried to steer him, into a so-called normal job, but creativity, it's like an itch, isn't it, Michelle? If you've got to scratch it.
I know. Well, I mean, part of the reason why I'm looking at a transition is obviously acting is so wonderful, but it really is a ludicrous career because it's completely out of your hands, and you can be the best, most talented actor, but it doesn't mean you get a job. And definitely in this sort of position in my life as a mother, I'm like, okay, I need to be a little bit more sort of stable, but I kind of have chosen perhaps another equally tentative stable industry, because writing and directing is probably just as tough as acting, but that creative calling is something that is hard to ignore.
Michelle, I think you'd be excellent. And so, Michelle, after the Tribe, when did you move out to the States for professional reasons, or for a role, and kind of ended up staying there? How did that come about?
When the Tribe finished, I stayed in New Zealand and did a couple of other local productions, and then I went over to Melbourne in Australia, where I did a spot on Neighbours, which is a soap that's made in Australia but is pretty popular in the UK. And then pardon me?
What was that? Was that it? That was again, for some of the other countries, Neighbours is an iconic series, really, in the UK. I mean, it's been running for it's a big one, and obviously in Australia. And how did you enjoy?
Yes.
Did you enjoy going from Tai-San to a new character in Neighbours? Was it obviously different?
I'll tell you what, that training that we had, because the Tribe was, fast turnaround. Neighbours is extremely fast turnaround, and I, having not gone to, a professional acting school, the Tribe was really my form of schooling. It put me in really good stead because I was not at all fazed by the fast turnaround shooting style of Neighbours. But I remember it was pretty gutsy. They were holding auditions in Auckland, which is a city just north of where I was living in Wellington. And I remember I caught the train up, and I didn't tell my parents. I caught the train up to do this audition, and then caught the train back. And when I got the call to say, hey, you got the role and we'll need you to move to Australia, I remember thinking, oh gosh, that's so exciting, but I haven't even told my parents that I had even put my name into the hat to be part of this. How am I going to break that? It was thinking back on it now, it was a pretty gutsy thing to do.
You moved to Melbourne, and it's a lovely city, and you enjoyed your time in Australia?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it was kind of that real burgeoning feeling of like being a young person who could, go and earn some of her own money and then do her own thing. I was flatting over there with another castmate who was also a Kiwi. It was a pretty wild time. It was a bit hedonistic, but I think we all have to have some of those experiences in our young life.
Oh, you've got to do that. I mean, I'm an ex-hippie, and I had mine in the 60s. So,
for more information on audio dramatisations, please visit www.tribeworld.com. Keep the dream alive.